not a unique situation at Jackson State when it comes to historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs. They've been overlooked for a great many years. But in addition to that, he was only getting paid $300,000 as the head coach of the college football team. When you can see very many college football coaches at larger programs receive millions of dollars for that particular job. So both of those I thought was pretty interesting. But he was very generous with that, invested it back into the program, and they benefited from that. So they performed extremely well. He built a lot of partnerships because of his name, because of his recognition, because of the energy, the attractiveness that Deion brings to pretty much any project that he lends his name and his assistance to. And now they've got the blueprint to continue and redouble that progress. And so the most recent, you may have heard, is that he's decided and has announced that he's taking the coaching position with Colorado, and that is a Pac-12, a real program, so to speak, from a lot of the onlookers that downplay FCS and HBCU football programs, which is a huge step up. There's been little mobility when it comes to black head coaches, which should be widely recognized and known, but perhaps you don't know this. And so he had a great opportunity to move into, which unfortunately for Colorado, the worst performing Pac-12 program over the last few years. And they did very poorly again this season, but that's about to change. And Deion decided that he was going to move up there, and he just recently visited the grounds and the team for the first time yesterday or the day before, I think just on Sunday. And he made a very compelling speech when he sat and spoke to them. I was very motivated and excited. He told everybody there, all the players that were there, and he repeated that he's coming and he's bringing his baggage with him. He's got staff that he's bringing with him. He's got some players that he's bringing with him, people that are hungry for the opportunity, that want to perform, that they're not going to accept mediocrity, that they're going there to dominate and do very well. They're not coming just to get the job and just to play. They're there to win and to stay. So I'm extremely excited by that, and I think it's really good on several fronts. Some people have been upset, or at least let's say sad, that he decided to uproot and leave the program after just 3 years, I believe, of being with Jackson State. They were hoping that he would remain and make them more contentious when it comes to larger, more stapled programs, perhaps that they could compete with an Alabama or an Auburn or some of these other SEC teams, or perhaps Mississippi because of where they're located. And he had long stated before that was just not really in the cards. It wasn't really realistic because, skill positions, this was Deion's statement himself, that skill positions is one thing, and he's capable of getting some, highly recruited skill position players. But when it comes to linemen on both sides of the ball, he said it would be very unrealistic to be able to play with those boys at the size and the weight and the technique that they have to draw them down to Jackson State. It could take several years if it was possible at all. Second to that, he's got a longer plan, a longer play that he's attempting to accomplish here, according to what he has been saying. And I see it too, that what he's doing is a calling, and he's trying to affect young boys' lives, young men's lives as much as he can. And it's not a place, it's a state of mind and what he's trying to do. So whether it's in Jackson State or in Colorado or Auburn or wherever he happens to go next, if he doesn't stay in Colorado, he's on a mission and he's going to continue to do that. I'm interested, though, what makes this so much more possible, the mechanics of it at least, outside of Deion just being extraordinary as a person and as a coach, is the transfer portal that really makes it so much more a rapid change as to what you would normally inherit when you go into a new program, a new football program, because you'd have, you'd be inheriting, freshmen through juniors. The seniors would be moving on, and those 3 years of classes would still remain, and that you would have to like move things around and see what you have and talent and everything and go about it that way. But with the transfer portal, with the advent of the transfer portal, the team could look dramatically, and he's talked about it, will look dramatically different than it did this season and last seasons, both of which were pretty abysmal. In fact, he came in and told the football players, the current roster, that he's looking to run them off. He's trying to test them. He's trying to put them through the grinder to see who's willing to put in the effort, that wants to stay there, who's hungry and wants to remain. He wants to know what their capacity is, and to go ahead and try the transfer portal to see what they're going to do. He's trying to make them quit because he's trying to build something different than what Colorado has stood for, unfortunately, these past several years. I'm interested to see. I'm very excited. I'm intrigued at this prospect. Big college football fan. I think that the Pac-12 in particular is ripe for the picking if he can do some damage out there and recruit a lot of high-grade talent. Certainly, the way he leads, the way he motivates, and tries to get people to band together as a team to have a unified goal and the mechanics of playing the game. I don't think it's going to take a very long. Oregon didn't look great this year. They ended up with 3 losses. USC ultimately ended up losing to Utah in the Pac-12 championship. Nobody is representative inside of the college football playoff at this point, which was anticipated at the early part of the season. UCLA, Arizona, the rest of them, they certainly have a chance before too long to make a dent out there. It's not the Big Ten. It's not the SEC, where it's going to take a little bit of time to catch up with the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Michigans and those programs. He's going to be able to do it very quickly, and he's going to make some statements. So I'm very excited about that. So tell me what you think about what Deion's doing, his previous stay at Jackson State, what he's currently about to do in Colorado. What do you think about it? I'm excited by it, and I love seeing him onward and upward and moving forward. That tells me that he'll maybe stay around 3-4 years, let's say, in Colorado, do very similar stuff, have a similar outcome where they become very strong contenders in the Pac-12, appear in a Pac-12 or win a Pac-12 championship. That would be extraordinary. And then where does he take his talent there? There's a lot of lingering big name college football programs out there that have not lived up to their history. The Nebraskas, Oklahoma looked bad this year. Notre Dame, perhaps, USC's been on the uptick this year, and perhaps he'd probably leave the Pac-12 if he was to do that. I'm speculating at this point, but where he's moving, he's looking to do some serious damage as a change agent, and I'm excited by that. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to sports. Secondly, another thing happened. I don't know if you watched the pros, the NFL last night, on our little break here, midday snack. I'm going to talk about the one and only Tom Brady. Tom Brady last night, oh my goodness. I don't know if you saw, but for 3 quarters against New Orleans. Now, Tampa Bay is leading the NFC South because the NFC South is abysmal. I mean, they're just terrible. Carolina, all of them, bad. Atlanta, horrible. So he's going to backdoor, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to probably backdoor into the playoffs, maybe with the worst historical record or standing there was to get into as a division winner, because the 4 division winners have an automatic bid into the postseason. There will be no wild card coming out of the division. So there it could be an 8-9 team when they go into the postseason. Very, very curious. However, last night playing New Orleans, first 3 quarters, terrible. I mean, they scored 3 points. They didn't look like they could push the ball down the field. Tom Brady didn't look like he was really in control or command like he has been historically, showing a lot of the gray hair that he's grown over this great many years of being the league general of the team. Way different than he did when he first got to Tampa and they rolled into the Super Bowl. Team looks entirely different. He's 45 years old and shows it. And still, they were down with 3 minutes left in the game. And scored back-to-back touchdowns within a 3-minute time frame, as only Tom Brady apparently can do. His 44th fourth quarter come from behind victory, which breaks the tie with Peyton Manning as the most in NFL history as a quarterback. And it just makes me realize, like, it's just incredible that even though they have a bad team, and collectively they're a bad team. Some of it's to do with them, if not a large part of it, because on offense, the quarterback has so much to do with it. But the defense is pretty good, but not as dominating as it used to be. It's keeping the score down okay. The offense isn't putting up points like it used to. Julio Jones, who was an addition this season, doesn't look at all like Julio's looked before. Mike Evans doesn't look like he used to. Chris Godwin, coming off of those surgeries, certainly doesn't look like the performer that we have seen in the past. He's throwing the people's names I've never heard before. Scotty Miller comes out of the flat. It was maybe 5'9", 160 pounds, catching in the middle of the field, taking, bone-breaking hits. And he's just so dangerous. There's one thing you can't count against, and I want to tie this into what we do and not make this a sports thing. And I'm not doing this every time, but I just, try to take a moment away from what we do all day long as you're having your day. And I hope you're having a fantastic day, by the way, and killing it this week and enjoying better weather than we are here in Atlanta. It's been grueling. It's been cold and windy and rainy and wet and likely will continue throughout today. Hopefully tomorrow's better. But anyway, the takeaway from that is you can't replace experience. Like, when it got right down to it, when they had to start running the 2-minute drill and Tom Brady's got the ball in his hands, he's had that position for so long, so many times. He's dangerous. And if they do, and they will likely sneak into the postseason at 8-9 as a losing team, I still wouldn't want to face them in the postseason. When it comes down to it, when it comes down to winning or going home, being within just a couple of scores, apparently, because he was, 2 scores down in this game. Same as he did against Atlanta in the when he was with the Patriots and came from behind 28-3. The guy doesn't know how to give up, and he knows how to find the end zone. And I don't know. I don't think I'd want to face him. I don't care who I am. I don't care if it's the Eagles. Certainly now, as the 49ers just lost Jimmy Garoppolo, who knows what's going on at quarterback with them. NFC is wide open, and this guy has 35 postseason wins. Second place in the NFC for those that probably will have a postseason bid has 1. Collectively, I think all of the quarterbacks that are remaining in the NFC that have a chance of getting into the postseason have a total of like 3 or 4 collective postseason wins to his 35. It's disgusting. And it's just, I don't know, mind-boggling at 45 years old in a physical sport like he plays. It's very cerebral, obviously, to see what he does and how to break down defenses and such, but just a great testament of not giving up and recognizing what's going on, being cool under pressure, reading the room, reading the situation. I've been here before. This is how we need to manage it, and leading the rest of the team so they don't fall apart under pressure when it counts most. And so if you're out there and you're a business owner or you're head of your department or anything, people are looking to you. This is a great, I think, example of what it looks like. Things can get out of control quickly and easily, and cooler heads prevail. Don't let things get to you too much to where you can't manage yourself. You can pull yourself out of it. You just got to take a moment, reassess, look at what's before you, and come up with a game plan and make sure that the people that are working with you, that depend on you, know that they're, in capable hands and that you haven't freaked out. Everything's going to be all right. So I wanted to share those for this week, or for today, rather. Some of the things I've noticed when it comes to the sports that's been happening. I'm interested, though, in what you've got going on. So check out, I've got in the bottom of all of these streams here on Midday Snack, I've got links where you can submit a short video of yourself talking about your wins, what you've just done, what you've been trying to do. Maybe it's something that you want to share with us in the group, a challenge that you have going on. You've got a quota that seems like it's unrealistic. You're about to release a new product, a new program, and maybe you want some feedback on that, or you want to talk to somebody about that, or just share what you've got planned. I'm excited for that. I want to see what that's about. I want to share it here on Midday Snack with others. And so the link down there allows you to do that and do it within the browser on your own. It's very quick and simple. Just send over a quick video and I'll try to showcase it here. The second link is if you want to be on the show as a vendor, an insurance company, a wholesaler, premium finance company, any of these things, and you want to talk and be a guest on the show, I'd be happy to have you on the show so we can talk about what it is that you do, get to know you a little bit better, so that the audience that we serve here at the National Insurance Alliance, Insurers Alliance, get to know who you are, what you represent, what you're up to, how you can help them, and they can help you do your very best work. So check those links at the bottom, and I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after this. Today's sponsor of Midday Snack is Friday at HeyFriday.ai. Hey Friday gives you the best AI-assisted text creation tool on the market today. You can choose from one of their 40 templates that walks you through various ways to arrive at the best outcome that you're looking for, whether it's a tweet, an email, or a listicle, or a full blog post. It's all very easy inside of Friday's dashboard and interface. All you do is enter in a few details and then provide whatever the questions are they give, and then you give them the answers, and it'll go ahead and do all the work for you, and then you arrive at a great outcome to where you have a professionally written and ready to go piece, whether it could be a YouTube title for a video, it can be a listicle, it can be a long or short post, anything that you're looking for, and it gives you the bones to create what you're looking for and then interweave some of the stuff that's specific to your brand. So you tweak and change whatever it is that they've come up with at the end of their outcome. If it's something that you need to change around your specific needs, whether it's your brand name, the product name, or the way that you sound, look, and feel, that's always available to you, and you can redo it as many times as you want. So check out Friday today, HeyFriday.ai, and start your free trial today. Okay, guys, so I'm back, and again, I hope you're having a fantastic day here on Midday Snack. I came across an interesting blog post, and I think it's very valuable to us here in the insurance industry, and I wanted to share it with you guys and talk a little bit, give a little bit of feedback on on my viewpoint on it, and then, of course, secondarily, throw it to you guys. I want to see your comments and stuff about what you think when evaluating and choosing a agency management system, especially nowadays because technology has changed so dramatically, and there's so many more upstarts and so many more vendors out there who are trying to assist you with doing very good work when it comes to technology. So check this out. I came across this the other day. Here we go. Come on now. There we go. All right. So AgencyBloc had put this out on Twitter here. So it says, when it comes to adopting an agency management system or switch to a new one, making sure you're truly vetting a potential partnership and not just the software is important. Here are 6 questions you should ask during the sales demos. See the link there. You can go directly to the blog post and read it for yourself. I'm going to share the questions here and go through them from AgencyBloc because I think it is so good. So the first question is, what's the history of the software company? And that's pretty interesting because there's a couple of things, a couple of different ways you can look at it. So you're looking at, in this case, a partnership and trying to formulate somebody that you're doing business with on an ongoing basis and not just trying to find some quick software, because you're looking to do business for a long time and you're not looking to probably change how you do business very, very frequently. And you want to be aligned with somebody who has similar interests and serving what your needs are very well for that duration of time. Now, I'm going to mention that AgencyBloc is not a sponsor. They're not associated with this whatsoever when it comes to that. They didn't pay me to talk about this. I found this and I thought it was very, very insightful and valuable. So I want to share it with you guys here on Midday Snack. So what's the story of the company? When was it formed? What are their goals? What's the future for themselves, right? So there's a lot of really big names in the agency management space, the AMS marketplace. You know who they are. I don't have to go through them. They've undergone a lot of changes over the years. Many of those changes, unfortunately, have prevented them from perhaps giving you the level of service that you'd like to have. Certainly, when it comes to personalized service, personalization, when it comes to working with them, you're one of several clients, maybe, and you're not a huge blip on their radar. So perhaps they don't give you the attention that you'd like, and you'd be looking for that. So that's a good question to ask when interfacing with an AMS provider or a vendor as to whether or not they'd be a good partnership for you in particular. So their history and where they're going. Have they been around since the 80s? And are they looking to continue to glom up and buy is basically what they do when they iterate their product? It's just acquiring another company and then folding it into what they currently do? Or are they iterating and are they founded by insurance professionals like yourself that understand the game? These are important questions. So number two is, what kind of software do they offer? Now, I come across this numerous times myself as a consultant, and I've created and sold and vended AMS software in the past myself. I had a couple of exits, so I don't do that presently, but I did this a couple of times myself in the past. And this was one of the primary things that I tried to focus on when I was talking to insurance agents as to why it would be beneficial to use a cloud-based or a hosted solution versus some sort of on-premises loaded software that you'd have to manage yourself. Now, in today's environment specifically, access is everything. So being able to get in and out of your database with regularity from anywhere that you happen to be, on site at your office or at an insurance location, when it comes to perhaps homeowners or contractors business, or commercial business and that sort of thing, being able to access that stuff anywhere, anytime is very, very important. And of course, that's going to be a cloud-based software. So if that's something that you really need, you need to be looking for that and make sure you ask this question before you even look at all the bells and whistles of what they can do. How accessible is it? Is it accessible enough? Now, specifically, they're talking about CRM software, which I'm not going to bore you with the acronym, or regular or a specific tailor-made industry-based management system. And so that would be Salesforce versus AgencyBloc, or HubSpot versus Agency Matrix, or something like that. One of those was made specific to handling insurance transactions, insurance policy lifecycle, insurance customer activity. And you, being that you're probably in the insurance space watching this, you do very specific, repeatable activities when it comes to managing your customer base. And while HubSpot has a lot of great automated tools when it comes to dripping and sales and marketing and stuff like that, it's not specific to managing an insurance relationship. So the nomenclature, the data points, the activities that you can perform inside of the software are not going to be specific to insurance whatsoever. So endorsements, there's no such thing. Handling billing and stuff like that when it comes to taking receipts or taking payments, splitting out how much goes to premium. If you have two carriers on an insurance policy, that's not going to happen. If you're looking to reconcile your commission statement and see what's coming in, you're going to have to do that outside of these programs. They're not tailor-made for this, and that creates a lot more labor and a lot more chasing your tail and a lot of outside of the system customization that you're going to do that ultimately creates a lot more workload for yourself. And so you fool yourself into believing that these efficiencies that these other products provide you, they just don't. So that would be another thing to be looking out for, that if you're being solicited by a software company that says that they do the insurance vertical, they handle things that are inside the insurance vertical, ask them specifically, is it an insurance industry specific product, or is it just a global business product? And make your decisions from there. Now, this is another one. How many revisions and how often do they update their software in a given time frame, in a year in this case? Lots of things are changing with regularity in the space, and that's technology that's quickly changing all the time, where they can interface and interact with a lot of third-party vendors through what's called APIs. Or inherently they're changing the product to get better and faster inside the system all the time. So it iterates and it becomes easier to use, or it handles more throughput and more bandwidth, or it can handle more customers or more transactions. Perhaps they allow for new products to be, sold. That, at first it only handled these 5 lines of business, but then they introduced another 2 or 3 within the first year that you had the product. This shows that the company that you're working with, again, as a partner, is trying to provide you with the best possible software solution, because they're continuously revising it, looking into it, talking to the people that are using the product for their regular business, such as yourself, getting feedback, updating. That's a very key point of reference when it comes to managing a partnership type of relationship with insurance agents or brokers. A healthy way to manage the product, instead of saying, some off the shelf stuff that's been around since the late 90s or early 2000s that hasn't changed dramatically and basically works the exact same way, may not have been updated enough for today's faster, bigger, stronger insurance industry to remain competitive and do the things that you're going to need to do to stay competitive moving forward. So again, great questions here by AgencyBloc, in my opinion. Now, what does their help and support look like? This is very important, because while at first, when you first start using a product, you might need some training, right? Training is somewhat important, but if you've been in business for a little while, you're going to probably get around the product fairly easily. There's only so many ways that you can lay out a screen that's going to give you access to all the, policy assets and stuff like that. So you know where the coverages are and how much the premium dollars are, and, where forms go and attachments and this type of stuff. But if something goes wrong, if you do something to throw the system off, or you need to do something that's outside of the norm, you want to get, some quick and rapid response. You don't want to have to wait on hold for forever, or have to send in a frequent, go through a frequently asked questions because the contact information simply doesn't exist, or send an email and wait 4 days to get some sort of a response. You might want something faster than that, more in tune with how you operate your business. When an insured comes to you and says they have a problem with the insurance policy, that's not how you handle it. You don't put them off for 4 days. You don't say, send an email to this anonymous email, box, and we'll get back to you when we can. You're giving good service. You expect to have the same for yourself. So make sure you ask the insurance agency management platform that you're talking to, that you're investigating, what level of service they give, and make sure that it meets with your expectations so you can manage your business as well as possible. These are questions that a lot of people don't ask. These are questions that you need to ask about once you have taken on the software. You've already now converted your data into the software, loaded everything in, got your people trained, start doing work, depend on how well it works to make money to support the staff that you have so they can pay their bills, you pay the overhead, feed your family. This is crucial stuff that you're depending on. And then you find out they don't give level of service to the point that they seem to care about you. They don't iterate the product so that it can get better, faster, stronger, so it can support you in the future. These are questions you need to know from the get-go, from the beginning. You don't want to find this out after the fact. Now, here's a great one too. Are they providing comparison content? Which is to say, how do they stack up against their peers? How do they stack up against their competitors? Great ways to get this information is testimonials, as you see here, or case studies. When they've gone into an existing agency, what were they using before? Now that they're using AgencyBloc in this case, what's their experience like? What are some of the things they can point out to? Another one, an addendum that I would add to this, if you're looking to change or get into a new agency management platform, is ask them if they can point you in a direction and give you some contact information of existing users that you can speak to directly. That's really transparent. That's not cooking the books whatsoever. There is no hidden like fake testimonials. Not to say that a lot of, that I'm saying any company does that, but if you want to be sure, you want to get direct feedback from somebody, good, bad, and the ugly, companies that want to be partners with you shouldn't have any problem with that, and say, hey, talk to Ace Insurance in California, talk to, Bill Bradley's Insurance in Oklahoma. This is the type of agency that they are. Get some feedback from them. They'll tell you the stuff that works really well for them, and they'll probably tell you some of the stuff that perhaps could get better. And that's fine, because there's no perfect product. And perhaps the things that they're going to tell you should be better doesn't affect you, or you think is fine. But that could also be some of the feedback that AgencyBloc or any of these other agency management products get, that they change the product because they have that relationship with their agency base to do business and change things as they need to, so it gets better and better. So ask for testimonials, ask for case studies if they happen to have them. Could be a bit of a red flag if they don't have either of those readily available to you. That's a curious thing. And then certainly I would follow up and see if there's any way that you can talk to a current user of theirs directly and get some feedback that way. Now, lastly, the sixth question is, what's the exit plan look like? Now, this is, as you see here, super important. This isn't something that you think about going into a new relationship. But when it comes to business, we're not talking about getting married here. We're talking about business. You should always go into a relationship, always go into some new engagement, knowing that there could be a time, likely a time, that you're going to have to part ways down the line. And that could be, a new owner, or you're partnering up with this vendor or whatever. It doesn't matter. In this case, AMS vendors. And what does that look like? How messy can it get? And specifically in this case, they're talking about not landlocking your data, because AMS, or agency management software companies, have incredible leverage and power. Once they have your data inside of their system, it's pretty serious, because if they make it difficult or costly or all but impossible to leave the grip of their software because it fails you in some way, and it's not going to be readily apparent how that looks. It could be that they fall off with their level of service. It could be that they don't iterate like they used to. Some of the major features in the product just don't work anymore and they're not supporting it. New company comes in and buys them out. You don't want to do business with them anymore. There's a whole host of reasons why you might not want to continue your relationship that you originally thought was going to be perfect, and you wanted to continue for a long time. You did your deep dive investigation. Here we are at the end of the line. What does it look like if you split up? This is incredibly important. You want to make sure that they don't prevent you from getting your data out at any given time. They don't make it very difficult for you to get it out once you've made the request that you need it for yourself, and that you're able to move on pretty much at any time. If you can arrive at a situation with an agency management provider that answers the questions, the first 5 of these questions, as well as possible to fit your needs, and doesn't make it difficult to break up with, preferably a month to month if you can get it, contract or an agreement, that you can move your data out as easily as possible, whatever that looks like, so you get it readily available quickly and in a format that is transferable. That's not just some data dump that's going to take an awful lot of time and energy to try to translate into something else. That's another part of the question that's not listed here. And perhaps, again, all of these slides have the link at the bottom so you can read more in depth as to what the blog stipulates. But I don't remember seeing that. So I would ask them, I want the data in a format that I can actually use. I want to take it to another vendor. I want to make it so it's usable. I don't want to put it on a CD just to put it in, my shelf and say, well, I've got my data. You need it to be actionable and usable. Okay. So anyway, I came across this. Thank you, AgencyBloc. I'm going to include them in the title and everything below. So you can check them out for what they've got going on. I like what I've seen over there. I think they do excellent work from what I can gather. I like the questions that they have here, specifically when it comes to like investigating an agency management platform, because these are great questions a lot of people don't ask. They just look for price. They look for supposed ease of use. They go through the demo. Usually it is an assisted demo, so to speak, where it's like the salesperson is going to walk you through what the software is supposed to look like, but it's using their dummy data in a controlled environment, and they're going to walk you through some of their highlighted products, like what they want you to see. It's not a day in the life of the agent. It's not like you can sit there and watch the guy for an hour operate an insurance agency, and sell 3 policies and work on these 4 and then file a claim and then close out the day and all that stuff. It doesn't work that way. So it's very curated in a sense. And you go, oh, this sounds great. It looks fine and everything. And you sign up, and it could be a long tenured agreement. And you haven't asked these very particular and very important questions to know what happens. Do they iterate? Do they support? Do they move? Do they change? Is it specific to the insurance industry? And if they check all those boxes off and something happens down the line, are you safe? Are they partnering with you so that you can be taken care of if things go bad, so you can pull out of there? You might be holding the bag. And many of you guys watching this right now probably already are with somebody that's a big name out there that's preventing you from doing this. And that's an unfortunate thing. Not a good place to be. So, anyway, thank you for joining me here on Midday Snack. I look forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow. Check out those links below so we can get together and chat some more. I want to highlight you guys on the show and have some guests on here that we can talk to and find out more about the people that are making this industry cook. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.